Before stepping up to the microphone at his golf resort today, Donald Trump made phone calls to individual members of the media in a desperate attempt to communicate something positive to the stock market, the real bosses of Donald Trump's war. One of those calls was to Fox's Brian Kilmeade, who quoted Donald Trump on Fox and Friends this morning, telling him these ships should go through the Strait of Hormuz and show some guts. There's nothing to be afraid of. Show some guts. 20% of the world's oil shipments pass through the Strait of Hormuz, which has now become far too dangerous for safe passage. Shipping traffic has dropped by at least 90% in the strait or more. And Donald Trump's solution to that is for everyone on those oil tankers to just be brave, like him. Donald Trump wants the captains and crews of those ships to be brave and put themselves in the line of fire, put themselves in harm's way. Just call their families at home around the world and tell them, wish me luck. We are bravely going through the strait today because Donald Trump told us to show some guts. Donald Trump wants the non-combatants on commercial vessels to do something that no one in the Trump clan has ever done. Enter a war zone. Show some guts. How about 19-year-old Barron Trump, who is turning 20 in 11 days? As I reported on this program last week, all four of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's sons served in the military in World War II, while their father served as commander-in-chief until his death in office weeks before Germany's unconditional surrender. It was unthinkable then for a president's son not to serve in that president's war. And World War II was not a war of Franklin Roosevelt's choosing. We entered World War II only after Japan declared war on the United States and then Germany declared war on the United States. But because World War II was already underway in Europe in 1939, John Kennedy decided not to go to Yale Law School after his Harvard graduation and instead joined the Navy months before the United States entered World War II. Jack Kennedy, the future brother, the future president's older brother, Joe Kennedy, dropped out of Harvard Law School to become a pilot in World War II. Joe Kennedy's plane went down and he was killed in action in Europe. Such was the call of duty in those days that the sons of presidents, the sons of cabinet members, the sons of ambassadors, the sons of generals, along with the sons of laborers and factory workers, all showed some guts, as Donald Trump would put it, and rushed toward the sound of the guns. In fact, almost all Harvard students dropped out during World War II to serve in the military. So what about Barron Trump? Why hasn't he left college, like almost every Harvard student did during World War II, to fight in his father Donald Trump's war? And I mention Harvard specifically because that is the institution of higher learning in America that Donald Trump seems to hate the most. It is the institution that seems to fill him with a raging jealousy for reasons known only to his pathologically insecure psyche. Of the 1,000 students, the 1,000 students admitted to the Harvard class of 1944 before World War II started, only 19 graduated in 1944. That's how much America's universities emptied out as students followed what they felt was their call of duty into war. No one, Donald Trump, no one in the Trump family has ever done anything like that in the entire history of the Klan. Not one Trump. Not one. No Trump has ever attended a military funeral of a family member, and now it's Barron Trump's turn to refuse to go to war while his father sends young men and women his age into that war. Why doesn't Barron Trump do what all those Harvard students did during World War II? Why doesn't he leave college now and go join his father's war? Why doesn't Barron Trump donate his services as a crew member on an oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz? He doesn't even have to join the military for that. His father said there's nothing to be afraid of. Does his mother agree with that? Does she think there's nothing to be afraid of for her son on one of those oil tankers? Donald Trump said these ships should go through the Strait of Hormuz and show some guts. There's nothing to be afraid of. Well, let's prove there's nothing to be afraid of by putting Barron on the deck of one of those ships, because we know the only place Donald Trump would allow Barron to go, the only place where Barron Trump's mother would ever allow him to go, is a place where there's nothing to be afraid of. Donald Trump's other sons appear to be playing their part in their father's